Hey crypto friends, checking in on the sector. So first thing we have to point out is, again, the correlation with the S&P 500 is back to being very significant. Here it is on the 15-minute time frame, zoomed in today. And not only is it tick for tick today, zoom out, look at the last few days, they're doing the exact same thing. So we're going to continue to watch as long as that is the case. And you can see on the Bitcoin chart, you look at the volume, 9:30 a.m. when the market opens, there's a volume spike. 2 p.m. Eastern yesterday when news hit the S&P 500, Bitcoin reacted to it, and we're seeing all these reactions yet again today. So as long as that is the case, if you are trading the cryptocurrency space, you need to be watching what the S&P 500 is doing, because there are certainly clues that you can gain by watching them. We're looking for a daily lower high to form on SPY, and we're looking for the same thing on Bitcoin. For SPY, anything under 323 is a daily lower high on this bounce. And for Bitcoin, anything under $10,019 is a daily lower high as well. We know we're going to have to see a daily trend change confirmed for the bulls to regain momentum completely in their favor. And that's going to be the goal for the bulls pretty much over the next week. So for now, we're watching 4-hour support. We had a little level at 93.81 hold, and we held that level by $12 on Coinbase. So that's the most important short-term level. If that level were to break, the odds that our daily lower high has been set already would increase a bit. And the S&P 500 had a huge dump today and a huge recovery. And it wasn't as magnified on Bitcoin. This is when SPY dumped 2% or so, though I guess percentage-wise on Bitcoin, it was fairly similar. Maybe 1.5%, almost 2% as well. But recovering as of now. So as far as the last dumps that we've seen on Bitcoin, nice to see that the 4-hour oversold conditions and the super stack alert are still working as far as triggering good scaling opportunities and then seeing the bounce follow through as a result of that. And we're currently, it's such an interesting spot to be in, because we're interested in the cryptocurrency space because, you know, screw the Fed and screw the monetary system. Yet here we are hoping that the S&P 500 reacts bullish to the Fed's unlimited money printing, because the correlation with Bitcoin is tick for tick with the S&P 500 and we want it to go up. So it's all backwards, but that's where we stand right now. And that was where we were back in March on the dump, and that correlation faded. So we're watching to see. We know it's going to fade again. Correlations don't last forever, and we'll see where we stand and which direction. Obviously, the bulls hope that the correlation starts to fade in their favor for Bitcoin. Bigger picture, weekly time frame, consolidation is just fine. Backtest and holding exponential support still, and still in a weekly uptrend, no red flags at this point in time. Could this be a cup and handle pattern? You could view it that way. The psychology is there in the sense that we saw a huge dip, a huge recovery, failed to break resistance. That's a key factor, and now it is a potential bull flag on the weekly time frame. If the bulls can change the daily trend in their favor on this bounce, the odds of this being a weekly bull flag will increase a bit. So we're going to be continuing to closely monitor that. Bitcoin dominance chart is trying to set a weekly higher low. And at this point, to break the high of last week, we actually have already done it. But this daily trend is not convincing in any way. Bulls need to make their way up over 67 if we're going to see a convincing weekly higher low set. If you are an altcoin bull, you would love to see a weekly bear flag, which is a pullback, a higher low, a very weak bounce, and then a drop to a lower low. And where we stand right now, that is still a possibility to happen. We're watching these little daily higher lows, but we're not getting follow through. 65.82 is a must hold level. And the bulls, again, they want to see one more leg up to at least convincingly create some space above the weekly higher low of 65.58. ETH pulling back, and again, anything under 250.56 is a daily lower high on this bounce. And we're going to be watching, there's actually a potential, let's see if this is an inverse head and shoulders. So the 12-hour time frame, I wonder if Bitcoin's doing the same. I haven't looked at this time frame today. So Bitcoin already broke 12-hour resistance of 95.53. ETH has not. So if ETH rejects from resistance in the upper 230s, it's a potential 12-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern to be watching, where we would then be looking for a higher low compared to the dump low, and then the bull break to see significant bounce follow through. That's something to be watching in the short term. Very clear resistance in the upper 230s. The ETH BTC chart had a bear break, but so far that bear break has no follow through. The weekly time frame, high, low, lower high, higher, low, lower high has been set. And if the bulls hold up, I would say this equilibrium will favor the ETH bulls as long as exponential support holds. If we lose exponential support, it's anybody's game because we'll be back in the middle of this range. But if that exponential support holds, the bulls will keep favor on this chart. So that's a good visual guide to be watching from here. LTC, bears continue to be favored, and the bounce is much weaker. We look at the 12-hour time frame. Exponential resistance not even coming close to the lower high resistance. And again, if you're trading the cryptocurrency space bearish, it's worth keeping tabs on who the weakest names are because there is definitely more opportunity on them to the downside than there are on our stronger names. XRP, also a little bit of a weaker name. We've got 1951 as resistance on the 12-hour chart. Actually, that's a little daily level. It's not a daily lower high though. With where we stand on this chart, I would call anything under 2054 a daily lower high. And just like everybody else, it'll need to change its daily trend for the bulls to try and regain some momentum. But again, where we stand on XRP compared to where we were at the start of 2020 is a night and day difference with the vast majority of individual names we cover. A lot of people like to dog on XRP based on fundamentals. I dog on XRP based on technicals. We are down 81% from the high of February, and we compare that to Bitcoin, and obviously night and day difference, where we're looking at 11%. And let's compare it to Litecoin, who is weaker. How far off are we? Pretty much 91%. So Litecoin and XRP definitely in the same boat of being the weaker names in the cryptocurrency space that we look at. Binance, bounce underway, 12-hour time frame. Still weak. This is definitely one of the weaker bounces at this point. Bulls need more bounce follow through, and we are just looking for anything under 1758 to be a lower high. Keeping in mind that any name on the weekly time frame that did not get a clear weekly higher high stands out. And BNB did get a higher high, but it was only by about 5 cents. So we can consider that a weekly double top, and now the bulls must form a weekly higher low compared to 1391, and it's a tightening weekly range. And again, comparing it to our stronger names like ETH, very clear continuation. So Binance I would put in the middle of the road as far as it's not as bearish as XRP and LTC, but it's not nearly as strong as a lot of our other strong names. XTZ, just looking for a daily lower high, anything under 296. And this is one of the weaker short-term bounces. 12-hour chart, very weak, trying for the trend change. As far as the weekly time frame is concerned, very similar to BNB. 305 was resistance, and while we did break it, it was only by 7 pennies, and we can view it pretty much as a tightening weekly range over the last couple of months. Link, USD, just looking for a daily lower high, need to change the trend like everybody else. Weekly time frame did get a more convincing higher high, so we can put it in the stronger name category. And a weekly uptrend is intact. Exponential support currently holding the back test. Definitely one of the stronger names. And last, we'll wrap it up with ADA, which is still standing out as a stronger name. Weekly time frame, tons of space for a higher low to form. If we can change the daily trend back to the bulls quickly from here, that's a possible weekly bull flag. If we drop any lower, we're still looking for a weekly higher low, but it would no longer be a weekly bull flag in my opinion. So pretty much everybody needs a daily trend change to see the bulls regain momentum in their favor. And if we were going to categorize stronger names, we've got Bitcoin, ETH, Link, and ADA all on this side. Our weaker names are LTC and XRP, and our middle of the road names are BNB and XTZ. That is how I would rank them. Daily trend changes on watch. If we do not change the daily trends, the bulls don't prove anything. And again, as much as you may not want to be doing so, watching the S&P 500 is very important for what Bitcoin is currently doing. I hope you all are well, have a good rest of your day, and make sure and do good things. These are the microgreen sunflowers that I was eating 3 months ago.